Thanks for joining us today on The Perfect X. My name is Sherry, and this is my co host, Ben.
Hi everyone, this is Ben.
And today we are talking about toxic relationships.
Yee,
Mm.
yee.
I'm in one right now, this relationship with you.
Our relationship is toxic.
I mean, we should tell our listeners you told me to shut up the moment I dialed you today.
You said the same thing last time. I just asked you, how are you doing? Shut up and ask me when we start recording. I'm like, okay.
Well, because we're going to record in 5 seconds. Why don't you just ask me in 5 seconds?
Well, I don't know. It's just like courtesy when you answer, hey, how's it going? I'm not asking for like give me the whole deets, but
I didn't even get to say hi today before you told me to shut up. I'm just lucky you didn't. I'm just lucky you didn't tell me to shut the fuck up. But
how to how to make someone shut up via through the phone.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't really
Oh,
think
yeah.
you can. I'm not that scared of you. You're a flight away.
Yeah, but I mean, it's probably like what, a 4 hour flight, and I can go over there and shut you up.
Do you know that one of my birthday gifts, I have a family friend I grew up with, and he, for my birthday, he there was a card and it said, "What do you get a girl who has everything?" And then it said something for everyone else. And when I opened the gift, it was a ball gag to shut me up. but, but unfortunately for him and everybody else at the party, it was too big for my mouth. So I continued to talk throughout the whole fucking night, regardless. But I still think it was one of my best gifts. I mean, it's really fucking funny. So,
Yeah. I saw this thing, an ad of it's like tape that you can put over your mouth,
uh-huh.
and it's supposedly to help stop snoring, and like it has like it sticks really good or something like that. I mean, I don't know.
Is it
But
supposed to suffocate someone to death? Is that the part that
well,
it stops people from snoring? Like,
no, I mean,
who the
you can
fuck
breathe
goes
through
to
your
bed with?
nose.
But I would never go to bed with tape on my mouth. I would have way too much anxiety.
Once you're asleep, doesn't matter.
All
You just
right, all
take
right.
like, yeah, sleeping pills and take your much out, and that's it. Yeah, I'm gonna
Are
get
you?
you some of those.
I was gonna say, are you suggesting this? Because I don't snore. That's not my problem.
Well, no, but you talk a lot, so
I know, I know, I know. And you know what the crazy thing is? People think I love attention, and the funny thing is, I hate attention. I
shut
just
up.
can't. That's exactly it. See, that's the problem. I can't shut up. The difference is I can't shut up, but I actually don't want attention. I like if the whole world, like if the whole table turns on me, I literally want to crawl in my skin. But if we're all sitting and I'm like, my voice can carry, I won't shut up. Once everyone's paying attention to me, I'm like, oh fuck, fuck, fuck. But no, I actually
Well,
don't like
everyone's gonna be
attention.
paying attention to you because you won't stop talking. So everyone's like, okay, let's look at
Yeah.
her.
At least twice a week I get to record it for 1 hour. But
Take it all out.
anyways, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yeah.
Any fun
You
plans this weekend?
Yes. So I'm gonna go to there's a place near Austin that's called Round Rock, and their downtown is kind of fun. Like there's several bars and stuff to do. And a really good friend of mine, it's her birthday. Well, her birthday is on the 8th, but we're gonna go celebrate today. And it's kind of like chilled. It's like there's some piano bars, there's like restaurants. It's nothing like big and like clubs or anything. So we're gonna go there tonight, and tomorrow we rented a pontoon boat, and
What's
we're
a
gonna
pontoon boat?
a pontoon, like a boat.
I mean, even
But
if you
it's
pronounce it a different way, I'm not gonna know what it is.
yeah. So
So,
it's like a party boat, but it's flat, and it's all like it's square and flat. It goes slow, but all around it's like seating area. Like you just are chilling there. It's not like a fast boat or anything. And so we go to the lake, and you're just chilling there, and you can jump in the water and take your food and beverages, and
that
yeah.
sounds fun.
So yeah, just a boat on the lake.
That sounds
Um,
a lot of fun.
yeah. So we're gonna do that tomorrow. We're gonna go in the morning, but it's so hot that they recommended that we go in the afternoon.
Mhm.
Hopefully it's a bit. I mean, it's gonna be still 100 and something degrees, so It really doesn't matter. But
Doesn't matter when you go. You'll be in the water most of it anyways.
yeah,
It
that's
won't be
true.
that bad. It won't be that bad. If there's water involved, it won't be that bad.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And Sunday, I think I'm just gonna chill and watch some shows or something, and laundry, and maybe go to the supermarket to buy stuff, or I don't know,
Thanks for
to
letting
get.
us know your errands.
Yeah. What about you? Do you have any
Notice he
big
didn't mention
plans?
cleaning his house at any point.
Well, that goes included with washing and doing
Uh-huh.
laundry and everything. Yeah.
Uh-huh. All
I mean,
right. All
that's,
right.
yeah. Yeah,
Well,
that's the day that I do all that.
thanks for making us hopeful that you will clean your clothes and your house.
What about you?
Just tonight we're going to a bar, which I'm excited about. And then Saturday, I'm not sure, honestly, for Saturday. We have a couple options going on. Like there's a couple potential. Someone did ask me out on a date, but I most likely I'm gonna say no.
Why?
I don't know. I'm just like not that into like they keep messaging and I don't really have anything to respond back. See, I don't always talk. The conversation's just not that interesting, and I just decided I'm like, it's not really into it. But other than that, if I don't go, I'm just gonna meet up with a couple of girlfriends I haven't seen for a while. So
Oh, that's nice.
go for dinner. Yeah, so I'm kind of open. But yeah, so not
That's cool.
too exciting of a weekend, but we'll see. I've had such a crazy week. Honestly, I'm so fucking tired. I just want to sleep. But
I know.
to, don't you hate weeks like that? You're like, oh, but you can't waste the weekend, especially a summer weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about if it's summer or not, but
Oh,
yeah,
I
some
do.
weekends you just need to sleep and rest. But yeah,
All
it's
right.
been a long week for me too, and but but yeah, I mean, I don't mind going out or just chilling. But I mean, I already have a whole bunch of plans, so
You can chill. You
yeah.
can chill. All right. So, okay. So, toxic relationships. So, I mean, we came up with this idea because I know, and I'm sure you feel the same way that it's really important that we talk about all aspects of dating. And toxic relationships are really important because I think most people go through it. They actually say that we have three significant relationships in our lives. So, one's puppy love, which is like the fun, easy, young love. And then they
Hmm.
say we have a toxic one, and then we find our one true love. So those are our three significant relationships. I think a lot of people go through a lot of toxic relationships, but I have one specific. I only have one. So I probably have had toxic situations, but I don't even care, like really think about it. I only have one that changed me. And I haven't found my one true love yet, but those are the relationships. What about you? Do you have a toxic or
Um, yeah, I mean, with the girl that cheated on me, I mean,
mm,
it became really toxic, and
that's true.
yeah, on both sides. So yeah, it wasn't good. I mean, yeah, like you said, like sometimes there's like toxic moments, but to call them like toxic, I don't know, like just
The whole
rough times. Yeah, but yeah, but I think yeah, like after I kept dating this girl, it was just bad. Like it was toxic. Like so,
So
yeah.
that's what they say. They say that there are a lot of red flags, and we usually what happens is we push through them, right? So I think it's really important that we share them. I also think actually it's important to go through a toxic relationship. Like I actually think for me, it was the best thing that happened to me because it taught me exactly who I could be if I'm not careful and self-aware. And it also made me aware of things that I don't want in a relationship with the wrong person versus like finding the right person and putting myself in situations that I don't want to be in and losing someone that could have been my forever. So I really appreciate this relationship. For me, it was very significant, and I love the time frame that it happened in my life. It happened in my mid 20s. And I feel like that was a good time frame for me because although I didn't mature till later, it still wasn't a time in my life where I would have been in a long, like a forever relationship, at least for me, right? Like I wouldn't have met my forever. So I was old enough to be aware and young enough to be able to make that mistake for me personally. So that's why I love this relationship and I definitely want to dive into it. And what about you? What do you think about your age frame that yours happened?
Well, my toxic relationship when it happened, just like 5, 6 years ago, something like that.
You were like
Um,
in your 30s. But are you grateful for it? Like, do you think you would you
I
want
mean,
it to have
yes,
gone through
yes. I
that?
mean, during the moment, it was terrible. Like I was like, "What the fuck am I doing in here?" Like, but afterwards, you just start thinking about it, and you're like, "Well, I mean, things could have been different this way. I could have done that." Um, and yeah, I mean, it helps you mature and be more conscious of the red flags, like you say. Like, oh, like that does not sound healthy. That's happening, or yeah, I don't know. There was just like a lot.
Are
Yeah,
you
there were red flags, but yeah,
are you grateful for it? Like, would you wish, like, I think people should go through it. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you have that sentiment even though it was later in your life? Okay. But do you have that sentiment? Like, do you think it's something that you would like to have gone through? I mean, obviously at the time I was definitely for 6 months after like broken too, but um I still think it's something that people should go through or, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. I mean, yes. Again, like from mistakes you learn, and so I mean, it was a bad relationship, bad things on both sides. I acted some ways that were not cool. Um,
It's kind of
like
crazy.
go,
You
go
you notice your reactions. Like that's one big thing to me. Like I learned my reactions as a person, like how nasty my reactions can be, and I didn't know I could go that low.
Yeah, or like going through her phone and stuff like that. And
Ooh, I
I
can't even
mean,
see you doing that today.
yeah, no, and I would not do it again. I mean, but but I mean, it helped me understand and be like, okay, like this is something I don't want to go through again. I don't want to do it, and now I can see those flags and see like, oh, this is kind of going through the same path. Like if it happens again, I'm just gonna be like, no, like I'm gonna stop it before it even turns into something bigger.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
All right, so I thought I would share like for me, one thing that the relationship really showed me, for me personally, was that at the time of my life, I was really ego driven. Like, I really, really cared very much about guarding my ego and my persona. And it was really interesting because at the time in my life, I didn't realize that ego is actually your insecurity. And I truly believe that till this day. I think that we have an ego when we're insecure because when you're actually confident in yourself, you don't really have anything to prove or anything you try to boast about. You just kind of let other people figure out who you are. Like, like I sometimes see like girls on Instagram in their late 30s and they like get a new car or new whatever. Although I love cars, so I kind of get showing a car because I mean, well, because cars are like a whole thing. But let's say like purses or jewelry. Well, those aren't like, they don't talk of the model car that came out that you're like, oh, 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. Like the jewelry doesn't do anything. It's just, you know. So when girls like go to Louis Vuitton and buy a new purse and post about it now, I'm like, oh, like that's a little ego driven because you want people to be like, wow, look how much money she has, look what she can buy, look what she can, whatever. I love fashion. I a lot of times post my clothes and outfits. I'm not really into selfies as much as I am into my outfits. I love clothes, but I never talk about labels, brands, that kind of stuff because I realized at a young age that when you do those things for me, it was ego driven. Like it was like,
Hmm.
oh, look at what I have, look what I can have, look what he got me, look what he does for me, or look what. So
Yeah.
it was really crazy. At that time in my life when I met him, I was super, super ego driven, and all of my choices and actions was ego driven. And so that was a huge red flag personally for me. Like it really showed me what I was capable of doing negatively when I lived with my ego. So I'm so grateful because as we went on through our relationship, I was aware of that. It also taught me everything I don't want in a guy, which I know I've said before, but it's just so true because when you're younger or when you're going through it, you're like, it's okay that this person's like that. I can deal with it. But as time goes on, you realize like actually you can't really deal with every aspect of someone. Like the whole point in finding proper love is finding someone whose flaws you really naturally fit into your life. And someone who like maybe parties too much when you don't party or is aggressive in their communication style, like those for me made me aware that I cannot handle that. And our relationship was really interesting. So we started all with games, and I was such a game player, which is again was ego driven. Like I was so manipulative and so ego driven. I always wanted to win. I always wanted to one up every fucking man that came into my life. Like just to act like I don't need you. I'm better off on my own. No matter what you do, I could find someone better. I could do better. And that was the only way I felt worthy, like by having this persona. And it was really crazy because it was a manipulative tactic and it was also like a nasty personality trait of my own that I wasn't aware of. And he, I think we don't really realize sometimes how obvious our red flags are. He saw that and he fed off of it. And
Hmm.
because he's also an ego driven person, the first thing he told me was, I never want to date you, which was such a manipulative tactic because then I just completely like felt like, well, what the fuck? And chased his fucking ass until he agreed to date me. Like it was just insane. So it was kind of like just showing you how like my negativity and manipulative behavior was so obvious and he fed off of it and then turned it on me and we created this game and it made me realize like how much we lie to ourselves and portray ourselves as someone we're not and how other people could feed off of that and turn it on us and it was just nasty. It was just so fucking nasty. So with me and him, we started with games. And he was also a really insecure person that was ego driven. So it was like literally bouncing back and forth, this manipulative behavior, manipulative things. He never one time in our relationship, I can't tell you one fucking single time, did he ever compliment me. And I used to always be like, so like, does he like me? Doesn't he like me? Like he always kept me at bay, making me think like I wasn't good enough. And I really felt like I wasn't good enough. And that was
Hmm.
his manipulative tactic. And I became like this really angry person because I'm constantly chasing my own boyfriend,
Yeah.
It was just nuts. It's like now I see that and it's like I actually just recently saw that with a girlfriend of mine with her husband. Like he always tells her nobody else would want you. You now have kids and you'd be like a divorcee with these three kids and you used to be heavier and so he brings these things out and so she even though she's this stunning woman feels like she can't go anywhere else and she can't do anywhere else and I see that because it's a manipulative tactic. It's like he knows that the reality is she can do much better and she's capable of being with someone who treats her with more respect, so instead he makes her feel like she's not worth anything. And it was the same thing with my boyfriend. I felt like if
Hmm.
not him, then who?
Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah,
it was just
and
really
like what
shady.
you just said about not him, then who, that was kind of like also why I kept in that relationship because I was like, oh shit, like I'm not gonna find anyone else. And I mean, yeah, she's not perfect and she did this and that, but I I have no one else, you know? And
Why did you
so
feel that way? Like, what was it that made you feel that way?
made me feel how that I didn't
That,
have anyone else.
yeah, yeah.
Well, because I had just moved from Mexico, I didn't know a lot of people. I had just gotten out of a relationship from 5 years, a really good relationship of 5 years, but I mean, it didn't work out at the end. And so I just felt like lonely, and she saw that I was vulnerable, and she was, and that's I think that why I stayed there, and I'm like I'm not gonna find anyone else. I don't
So it
know.
wasn't just anybody else in a relationship. It was also like you didn't have any support, like friendships,
Yeah, yeah, like I
which
was
is
barely making friends here and stuff like that, so it was kind of like, yeah.
which is interesting because you really value your friendship. So I mean, maybe that's also one of the reasons why you're such a good friend to people. I mean, really seem to value your friendships.
Oh, I do, yeah. So yeah, and I
And so
mean, I
she
had all my
played on
friends in
that.
Mexico. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. So
Isn't it interesting? It's so interesting how people can take our weaknesses when they're obvious. Like another thing that my ex did is when he made me feel like I nobody else would want me, because he also told me I was overweight and like guys don't like that. And it was crazy because before I met him, I had been dating a lot of different guys and I felt wanted. And then after when I started dating him and he constantly picked up my weight and never ever complimented me, never made me feel like I was worth much, I actually started to believe it. And what was really interesting to gain more um like a more leverage, and I saw he did this with his now current wife too. He does this with her, but with me, he always made it look like he had a girlfriend before we dated and for like 4 years. And he always made it seem like she was still interested in him. And it was crazy. Like now looking back, she was already in this relationship with a guy that she's married to today that she like there wasn't one fucking thing she ever did during our relationship to make it seem like she still wanted him back. But I really believed him because he always portrayed this image that I had nowhere else to go, but his ex was right around the corner wanting to get back together with him. And and that was just one of many girls. He also made it always seem like other girls when they went out wanted him, like he was getting hit on. And you know what's really funny, if I show you what he looks like he's not the type of guy that girls would approach. He wasn't this like really hot guy, and he wasn't the best dresser. Like there was nothing about him that was over the top appealing, but he always gave that feeling of you have nowhere to go, but I do. So it's kind of funny that they take that insecurity and they can really build on it. And it's I even see him do that today with his current wife. Like when we broke up, he started dating someone else and she lived in pretty much the same building as mine. Not in the same building, but the same, like we shared the community building amenities.
Yeah.
And this girl was like obsessed with me. Everywhere I walked, she was staring at me. Everywhere, like she was obsessed. And the funny thing is, I knew what it was. And at the time, I never said anything. I was just like I had already moved on past the situation. And I knew that she was asking people about me and whatever and all this stuff. And later on, she meets a guy that I had been dating after him, and she asks him, "What is it about her that guys like so much, or whatever? Or like, why do they have such a thing?" And he told her, he's like, "They don't have such a thing. There's nothing going on, and it's not that all these guys like her and she could have whoever he made it look like I could have whoever I wanted, but I still wanted him." So it's funny, like with me, he made me feel like I could go nowhere. But to her, he was like, "Oh, she could have whoever she wants and she still wants me." So he's like, she's not even, he told her, he's like, "Sherry's not even like that. Like she doesn't feel she can have whoever she wants. She's just like a down to earth, normal person. And she
Hmm.
definitely doesn't want him back." So he totally created this scenario all over again. And I realized that's how he feels confident, is by making that person feel like the girl he's with feel like she can't go anywhere and he has all these options. But when you're in it, you really, really can believe it. Like that's the crazy thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because you are giving like an opportunity to this and you don't want to make it fail. And so you're like, yeah, like you believe that person, like you're like, yeah, that's true. Yeah. So,
And it's crazy how someone who you don't even think about, like, or someone that you like, I never thought I could be that person. I thought I was such a confident, I mean, at the time I didn't realize my ego was insecurity, but I thought I was such a confident, well-rounded person that knew enough about myself that no one could take away how I felt about myself. But it really shows you that somebody, when you let them in, if it's the wrong person, it really, really can shift who you are as an individual and how you perceive yourself.
oh, of course. Yeah. You change completely. You're not the same person. Yeah. And even with your friends, like you're totally different. Even your friends might tell you, and you're like, no, 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 and people outside of the relationship can totally tell, but you just don't want to believe it.
Yeah, yeah, it's nuts. And it's funny
Yeah.
because I had a guy friend who told me right off the bat, he's like, "This guy is going to be the worst guy you ever date." He's like, "This guy's so manipulative, you have no idea what you're dealing with." And I was like, "No, I know what I'm doing." But really, it makes another thing I learned from this relationship is you really have to be aware of who you let in, like red flags are red flags. They're not a challenge. Like they're not like, let me prove myself wrong. let me, or let me prove everybody else wrong. Like, you sometimes don't need to prove anybody wrong. Like, you should just accept that this situation isn't for you and another situation will come along, because actually you might damage yourself way more pushing through it, than trying to just be alone for a while and find somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think you should do it at least once because you should experience it. But after the one time, like, I'm so careful now. Like, it's so funny. Like, a lot of times my mom's like, "Well, why don't you give this guy a chance?" I'm like, "No, I don't need to. I could already see if I see one tiny little red flag, which is also probably not a positive thing either. But if there's something in someone's lifestyle I can't adapt to, or I know isn't for me, I really don't bother. I'm like, I'm good. Like, there's just no point, you know?
Yeah. When we were talking, or that we were gonna talk about this, I went online and just started looking through like examples and stuff like that. And one of the things that I read about toxic relationships, and that I was like, oh, that's true, is that you don't trust yourself anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that like kind of stuck with me because I'm like, oh shit, like at that moment, like you don't trust what you're doing, you don't like, you're not even like, like happy with yourself, and then you think like everything you're doing is wrong, and it changes your way of thinking like completely. And I'm like, that's true. Like you just don't trust yourself, you're just like, oh no, I'm not good enough, I'm not, and it's hard.
And that's actually the worst way to be because if you can't trust yourself, how could you trust anybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
I
those
think
toxic
usually
relationships are
manipulative
bad.
people, yeah. And I think usually manipulative people actually try to get you to a place where you don't trust yourself,
Yeah.
you know?
And yeah, and then you always feel that you're wrong, like all like everything is like in every scenario you just don't feel you're making the right decision, and so you feel wrong with yourself, or oh well, yeah, let's do that because what I said was not right, like, and it just brings you down.
And you know what's interesting? Like, a lot of times when I meet new people, like, just to kind of jump on that with you, is like, or when I'm on a date or something, you ask about past relationships. I like to hear about the way they talk about things because if you it's exactly like the trust yourself and personal reflection, right? Like, when you talk to someone and they talk about their past relationships and you hear a pattern where that person is not talking about any personal growth, like maybe, like, exactly like you say, the situation was bad, I learned I didn't trust myself, I learned I made these mistakes, I saw that person made those mistakes and it just didn't work, versus someone who's like, oh, she did this, she was like that, he was like that, like over and over, just accusing the other person in situations. You kind of can see if that person is a manipulator a little bit because there's no accountability ever. And that's a huge red flag for me. And like, if someone told me I was in this relationship, she cheated on me, I started going through her phone, I didn't trust her, I didn't trust myself, I had growth, I would be okay with that situation, right?
Yeah.
But if they're, because like what you're describing is like a very normal path through life, like they said, this is a second type of significant relationship. But if someone is having these same explosive issues, like, oh, he cheated, then again, he cheated again, or then he did this again, like, there's just no accountability anywhere, and there's no change in pattern with different relationships. They just seem to be having the same type of outcome with every relationship prior to meeting you. It's also a red flag that this person's probably a manipulative person, because
Yeah, of course.
yeah, people who take accountability aren't. It's in, like, it's just a big difference. And manipulative people never take accountability. And I know of like a girl right now. She keeps having the same relationship over and over where she um kind of takes over, like, she just has these really negative relationships. And unfortunately, she herself is a very negative, manipulative person. So she keeps going into these relationships with guys and forcing them to do the things that she wants and become the person they want. And she cheats on them every fucking time she cheats on them. Like, and then
Yeah.
always says, well, I cheated on him because he did this. I cheated on him because he did this. And it's a different guy. It's the same fucking situation. And you just really realize that no, she's manipulative. She's always plays victim. She doesn't grow. She's always claiming there's something wrong with a guy that causes her to cheat. She has no respect for 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 the person she's with, and she really has lack of self-respect as well too. So I think it's really important when you're listening to people talk about their past to listen to those red flags and see if it's a pattern or growth.
Of course, yeah. And just like what you and I are talking, like, yeah, it was a bad relationship. Um, you don't want to go into another one, but it was a good experience and good learning relationship, and you get some value out of that. Like
Mm-hmm.
the silver lining of it is I grew from that relationship. I learned how to trust myself again. I learned that I am right sometimes. Like I don't have to always be wrong. There are good relationships, and one thing that I also read was in a toxic relationship, you always feel drained.
Oh
Like
yeah.
so, it's just because it's working through it instead of living in it. Like you always have to be working to try not to fight, to try not to, just to try to have a good time. You have to work in it instead of, just letting it be and just live with that person, enjoy the good times, and yeah,
There's
you have
never a
to,
comfort, a moment of comfort. That is so
yeah,
true.
yeah. So you're just like fucking tired of it, and you're drained and you're just like, I can't stand this anymore. But then and then that if you're in that, if you feel like that's a red flag. You should That's a toxic relationship. Should not be like working hard on. You should not feel drained and like been working and working and working to try to make a relationship work.
It's so funny you say that because when I was dating my ex, I felt like that I was always drained. Even our good moments, it was like you were always on eggshells because you didn't know when this moment was going to turn because they always turned.
Yeah,
There was never like I think it's healthy to have disagreements. It's not healthy to fight. In that relationship, I yelled. Oh my God, I've never yelled since. Like I've never ever. I didn't even know I could yell like that. Like I was yelling all the time. I don't know if I've ever yelled, and I think I've had moments where I've yelled in the last 10 years, but I mean, we were yelling with each other at least 5 or 6 days of the 7 days of a week, like always yelling and always drained. And even those that one fucking good day or one good date we had, you just didn't trust the situation because you just knew that this was a moment versus a fight being a moment. This good times were moments. They were so few and far between, and it was so fucking exhausting. And you're so right. They say there's called emotional vampires. I think they call them like people who just suck the life out of you.
hmm
Like that's you're so right. You're so right. There's like oh, like when I didn't even think about it until you talk about it, and I just think about I was always fucking exhausted. No wonder I was fat. I was too tired to do anything. I couldn't work out. I was too tired to do anything but sit on the couch and eat. I was exhausted.
yeah, yeah. And it's just like even if you're having a good time, you're working. Like it's not coming natural to have a
Yeah,
good time. You're
yeah.
just not wanting to say a lot or something that it's gonna just trigger it. So you're like double thinking, or of what you're
You're
gonna
second
say, or
guessing
said,
yourself
yeah,
all the
second
time.
guessing. What can I say? This is this okay? Like I would sometimes be like, oh, this new girl started. She was also really jealous, and I'm like, oh, I was working and this new girl, blah blah, and she's like, who is she? Blah blah, and I'm like, fuck, like it's just someone that works. It's a girl. It's like I'm not hitting on her, but it could start anything. It could start a fight, and I'm just like, the fuck, like that's not what I was going to. I just wanted to tell you my day. So
Isn't it
uh
crazy? Like, probably that situation also taught you how to communicate a little bit better. Like, you realize, like, I can't be with someone, I can't just communicate. Like, or aware of how you communicate, I guess. Like, I know, like, from what it sounds like you just couldn't have a conversation. So then you were always on, like, guessing everything you said or how you said or what you said. And now I bet you would never ever be with someone who you can't just be straight up without second guessing how you talk. Like
yeah,
you just people that you're like, I met this girl at work today, and then there's a conversation about the girl and being a nice person and not you fucking her. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So it's kind of interesting. You really learn like for me, I know I won't be with anyone who causes me to yell to communicate. Like if we can't just talk evenly and with consideration and communicate to hear and we're yelling, I won't be with that person. You
Yeah.
know, for you it seems like someone that you can't just share the reality of your life.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because I mean, I just don't want someone that is jealous just because I'm sharing something that, like, I don't know. Or like if I
Had
was
nothing
dating
behind
someone
it.
and yeah, and they're like, who the fuck is Sherry? Why are you talking to her twice a week for an hour? Like, I don't know, why are you doing a podcast with her? I don't know, like, chill, like it's nothing. She's always hitting on me, but I'm not
I'm not interested in her.
but I'm not interested in her.
I even tell her to shut up the moment she calls.
So, but yeah,
So that's kind of interesting. So that's like a good thing. I mean, I also learned with this situation with this
person.
relationship. Yeah,
Yeah.
with this ex, this thing. No, I'm kidding. No, I really don't have any ill will towards him. I know, I'm sure he does, and I'm not very friendly if I bump into him, but I really have no ill will. I mean, I'm so grateful for this because I feel like if I hadn't gone through this, I would still be a very toxic, ego-driven person. So I'm so grateful for the relationship because I don't want to be that person I was prior to him. Like, I don't want to be manipulative. I was so manipulative. I was such a game player, so I don't want to be that anymore. So I'm grateful to him as much as he might think I hate his guts. Um, but I also learned to value my worth and not be with someone who tried to make me feel less than. And that was a really big eye opener for me because I actually now I'm aware of people who they say there's love bombers and then like people who make you little. So like someone who's like constantly telling you how amazing you are as they do shitty things, like they call them love bombers. Like they say it so much that you feel love, but their actions are opposite. Like they cheat on you, they do fucked up things, but they're love bombing you.
Yeah.
I haven't been in that situation, but being in the opposite where someone makes me feel so shitty about myself that I don't feel like there's nowhere to go. So I'm always so aware that I know there's two really big ends to this. There's people in the middle who are just normal, who just tell it like it is. So for me, I'm always really careful to be with people and make sure I'm this way, that I say things straight up. I share how I feel when I feel it, if it's something positive, and I same thing if it's something negative. If I don't appreciate something, I say it in a kind manner. I try not to be so, well, I'm very sarcastic. So in a sarcastically manner with kind intent.
Yeah.
But I'm also careful to share how I feel. Like with my ex, I never, because he never said nice things to me, I also never said nice things to him. And now I'm very, very careful to always be with somebody that I can feel comfortable saying how I feel in a positive way without making myself feel like I want them more than they want me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something you mentioned right now is like he never said anything to you, so you never said anything to him. And it's kind of like that, like uh you're being so competitive and it's
Mm-hmm.
trying to one up the other person, like, oh, you're not doing this, well, I'm not doing it, or you
Exactly.
did this, I'm gonna do it like more, like, so it's and it's just it should not be competitive in that way, like you should both work together, and if somebody's having a good time or a good moment in their life, the other person should be happy and they should try to pull you with it. And, like it's a balance and you should both support each other.
Isn't that kind of crazy though, how sick it is that, I mean, for me, that I was even with someone that I was that competitive. I mean, I didn't think about that, but you're right. It's so competitive. Like, it's really sick to be with someone that you're competitive with. Like, you should really be celebrating one another and not one upping each other. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of sick. Like, you know, like I can't imagine being that way with a friend. So why would I want to be with in a relationship? Like, I think it's really crazy when, and I know this, like I know like I have friends where like when one girl gets pregnant and the other one really wants to have a baby and they're not, she's really genuinely upset. I know it's difficult. I know people want to get pregnant. For some people, it's much harder and it really sucks. But she genuinely gets pissed off. It's not just like I wish it was me too. It was why the fuck her. And it's kind of funny. It's like as a friend, you would never want that. Our lives are supposed to be celebrating even when it's difficult for us to celebrate one another. But if you care about someone, you don't want them not to have something just because you want it to. And to be in an actual relationship, trying to build a home with someone, living with that person, supposedly loving them, trying to make your life into one, I can't imagine today being competitive. Like, it should be what's good for you is good for us, not.
Yeah.
It's crazy now when you put it like when you put it like that. It's nuts that I was like that for like so long.
There's a saying in Mexico, well, in Spanish, and I mean, I don't know if there's other places in Latin America that they say in Spanish, but um, the I don't know, and I don't know if it's something that they say in English, but good envy. So I don't know if but there's a saying like "Tengo envidia de la buena." I have like good envy towards you. Like I'm happy for you. Like if somebody got I don't know, a job promotion or hey, I just won this, like, oh, tengo envidia de la buena. Like I envy you, but in a good way, like I'm happy for your good thing. And it's kind of like again, I don't know if there's a way how to describe it in English, but it's a thoughtful way, and it shouldn't be bad envy. It should be good envy.
And it
Um,
makes sense actually, because I know within my girlfriend group, like we always tell each other, like if it's something like, let's say like we're all trying to lose some weight, like right now, like someone loses 2 pounds that week. One of us will say like, I'm so jealous, but in a good way. Like we're still celebrating it, but you're like, I wanted to, me too. But you're saying it in like a really loving way, not like I'm actually jealous of you. Fuck you. You're like,
yeah,
oh, like I'm so proud of you. I want to get to where you're at because you're doing so well, and I'm so proud. Like I hear what you're saying. The
yeah,
word envy or jealous can be negative, but you're not meaning it in a negative way. You're saying it like you're doing so well that this is where I would like to be as well.
yeah, and
So
and I mean, and you can turn around and just be like, hey, I'm proud of you. Like it's proud,
it
but
is proud. It is. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
sometimes you use words in a cute way. Like I know what you're saying. That it's a great thing. I think it's a great. I think that's actually really cute, and you should. That should be the only types of people you have around you.
yeah, of course. So, and like you said, like in friendship, you want that. So why wouldn't a relationship should be a friendship? Like that should be your person, your go-to
Yeah.
person. That should be your friend. And so why is it so easy to have it with a friend, but when you're in a relationship, it becomes so difficult? Like why does the envy turn from good to bad?
It's crazy. It really is crazy. Like, or like I also like the need for making someone jealous in a relationship, like that's also another thing. Like you would never want to make your friend jealous. So
Yeah,
like by saying like I can make more friends. So why do we want to be with someone who portrays himself as being able to get any other girl around him? You know, like
yeah.
that's just the same thing. It's like the same kind of portray this sense of jealousy. It's just nuts. It's
I've
nuts.
never.
We
uh,
Oh no, you never
Sorry.
what?
No, no, no. Go. I was gonna say just a stupid comment, but go.
No, no, say the stupid comment. Say it.
Oh, like I just feel like I've never watched Mean Girls,
Uh-huh.
but I feel like that's what it's all about. Like
Yeah, yeah,
being friends, and
yeah.
you're like, why are you in that group of girls if you're not really that good friends? Like, and
You're
I don't
not
know. I
really
just
friends. That's what it
yeah,
is. Actually, it's so funny you said it, because when you say it in a friend level, like I mean, I would definitely today would never be with someone that does the things I did with my ex, but it is the whole thing of Mean Girls is like being with friends with girls who aren't really genuinely wanting the best in you. They just want to rip into you. And my ex and I were actually like that. Like I literally wanted to make him feel like shit all the time. We fought all the time because he made me feel like I wasn't good enough by making a few couple comments in the beginning. I never forgave him. So the rest of the time we were together, I constantly was with him just to make him feel like shit. You know what I mean? Like it's nuts. It was a whole mean girl situation. And even back then, if you asked me if I would be friends with someone like that, hell fucking no. So why would I
yeah,
want to be in a relationship with someone where you want to make them feel shitty as they make you feel back? If someone makes you feel shitty in a relationship, move the fuck on. Don't try to make it get even. You don't need to get even with them because there's never getting even. There's only you feeling like we're like bigger shit. Like I didn't feel great trying to make them feel like shit. It made me feel like even more shitty. So it's like a revolving door of bullshit. Like it makes
yeah,
no sense why anybody would want to be with someone like that.
yeah.
Just
It's
nuts.
yeah. It's even you even. we even get drained just talking about it. So
I
imagine
know,
being
I
in it.
know, I know. I'm like, because this is 10 years ago, and like I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, as we're talking about, like, why the fuck did I stay with someone just to try to make them feel like shit? Like saying it out loud and actually reflecting on it, it's like, wow, that's really sick. Like, because I remember watching Mean Girls, and I think I was in my 20s when that came out, but being like, who the fuck would want a friend like that? Like, you know? But there I was having a boyfriend and being the girlfriend like that. You know, it's just it's so weird. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just nuts. One thing else I also learned in this relationship is that I absolutely will never be with someone that I want to change. Like I remember with him, he was like the foundation was decent, but I didn't really like so much about him overall. So I felt like it's okay, I'm gonna be with him and I'm just gonna change aspects of him. And honest to God, like I lost more of myself, the good parts of myself, like the only part is that at the time we were saving, trying to make him a better person, I made myself a worse version of myself. So that was like another big red flag for me, like something I would never do anymore. Like I see people now and I always say, can I accept this person exactly as they are today? And that's what I always try to ask myself. Not, oh, this person's good, but if I change this, this, and this, they'll be better. Then I could make a life with them.
Yeah. And I mean, there's of course gonna be things that you're not gonna like about that person. No one is like a
Of
hundred
course.
percent. But like you said, like is that gonna be a deal breaker or not? Like if you're already guessing that it's going, like if you're already thinking that it's going to be like, don't even go through it because it's going to turn bad, you know? Like it's if
And
you
you
don't
think
like
that,
how that person dresses or something and you're just like, "Ah, you know what, like yeah, you can buy him all the shoes and all the jeans or whatever clothes you want, but if he's not comfortable with it, then he's gonna start something bad, and then that could turn into something toxic. Oh, she always wanted to change me, you know, and then you're gonna be the toxic one. So
yeah, yeah. Well, that's
yeah,
another thing too. You just said, like, I think there's nothing more beautiful than someone that loves you for your flaws. Like for me, I know that the my next person is going to be someone that I feel can accept me for my flaws. And I actually, my closest friends are all people who I feel so understood and loved for my downfalls more than positive traits. It's so easy to love someone for positive traits. So it's actually so beautiful that when someone wants to be with you for those things that you feel aren't adequate and they make you feel adequate by loving that versus
yeah,
trying to change that, you know? So as much as I don't try to change someone else, I also want to be with someone who doesn't try to change me. So that was like another huge learning point in that relationship. So,
yeah,
and it really makes you feel better when someone loves you those for the things you can't love yourself for, you know?
yeah. I hope somebody can love me the way I snore. So
They're just gonna get you the tape. They're just whoever you date next, I'm gonna let them know about the tape. I may actually just gift it to them for your birthday. Do you really snore that loud?
well, apparently I do. I mean, I don't hear myself. I've never woken up myself by snoring, but yeah, I
I don't.
I
I don't know how
I
people
heard.
sleep next to people who snore. I've never had a boyfriend who snores. Even my Rottweiler never snored, and I didn't know Rottweiler snore. My girlfriend, the first time my best girlfriend and I met because she loves Rottweilers too. Like I met her, she jumped out of the car, like ran up to my dog, and she's actually 1 inch shorter than me. So people think it's funny that I love my Rottweiler and I walked my dog and I was 5 feet tall. She's 4'11 and she's always had these massive rods too. And so one funny thing is like the first my dog worshipped her. Like you couldn't even say her name around him without him going crazy. He gets so excited. And the first time she babysat him overnight, she was like, "Your dog doesn't snore. That's so weird." And I was like, "No." I was like, "Is that a thing?" She's like, "Yeah, they snore." I'm like, I can't stand snoring, and I've never been with a person, not even my fucking dog snored. So I would probably, I'd probably kill him. There would be no tape. It'd be too late for the tape. I don't know how people sleep next to people like you.
I don't know, and I mean, I really tried things, and I don't know, and I
But have
already
you?
went
There's
to
a surgery
study
for
and
it.
everything.
There's a surgery.
Oh, I mean, I might do a surgery if I fall in love with someone and she's like, "Can you please?" and she gives me that for Christmas or something. I mean, I would do it, but I mean, it doesn't bother me because I don't hear it,
Of
but I
course
know
it
it's
doesn't
there.
bother you. Of
I know.
course. You fucker, you're asleep. You're causing the your sleep is causing the problem.
And that's why
No.
when I'm in planes, I hate like I don't fall asleep because I know I'm gonna bother someone because I'm gonna be snoring, and so I'm
What
always like awake in the flight.
what are you gonna do on your way to Spain in a couple weeks?
I don't know.
That's a long
Just
flight.
drink,
Oh my god.
just
Oh my god. It's a
drink
long fucking
Red
flight. You'll
Bulls
be
and
on your ass. You'll be on
I
I don't
don't
know
know.
how people sleep next to you. Like I really don't like I'm one of my biggest fear. I mean, although I'm not ready to get another rot, but I'm scared of getting another Rottweiler who snores. Fuck if a guy snores, I would definitely send him to get surgery. Like there's no fucking way. There's no way. Like, it's impossible to sleep next to people like you. Impossible.
Oh, yeah, and apparently it's loud, so I don't know.
I
I think I just
I
have
had
to
a
wait and see.
I have a girlfriend who I've never traveled with her, but we were once planning like a girls trip, and she was like, "Yeah, all the other girls never want to share hotel rooms with me because I snore. They always complain that they can't sleep the whole trip. Anyways, do you want to share a room with me?" I was like, no.
Maybe I can.
Absolutely not. How do you even sell yourself into that situation?
Maybe you
Like,
can set me up with her, and if we both snore, we'll be fine.
oh my God, I would never do that to you. Your guys would have like no neighbors.
I
No
don't
fucking
care.
neighbors.
I mean, but that way I know that she snores and I don't care. And if I snore, then she wouldn't care because she
I don't want
snores.
to.
So
I'll tell you offline, but there's a lot of other reasons why you wouldn't want
no,
to do it.
I'm messing
I'm
with you.
trying.
I'm not.
I don't know. I actually would love to find someone to say. I'm telling you, if there's listeners out there, Ben is a really good catch. But I'll tell you
Thank you.
offline why I wouldn't set you up with her. It's not just the snoring, but
Okay.
now she's gonna hear this, and I've totally outed myself. But it's just we're not
Yeah.
close we're not close anymore. Anyways, we're not. That's the
Okay.
only reason.
You
So
can edit it and just be like, oh
no,
yeah,
no,
she's
it's
great.
fine. It's fine. If she's listening to this, I'd be shocked. I would be shocked. But let's just say there's been a lot of trips where she hasn't come on due to the snoring that has caused us to no longer be in the same group. But
Okay. Well,
snoring,
hi
snoring has
Snorri friend.
disqualified her from the vacations. But
If you're listening, hi Snorri friend,
snoring friend, ex friend. But yeah.
ex friend.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I think that's good on toxic relationship. Is there anything else you wanted to add on there?
No, I think that's it. That's all I had.
I just want to say one last thing. Like, I think that they're great to go through. I don't think you should carry the baggage. I think you should take them as lesson learned and see them as positive experiences and see what you can change of yourself and experience in life, through it and find a better somebody for yourself. So I just think as long as you're not carrying baggage and the only baggage you ever carry is through an airport, then they are great experiences.
Yeah, true. And hopefully whoever's listening and I mean that's something that I like about this show is that like we're sharing our stuff, our personal experiences and how we have worked through it and where we are right now. And if somebody's going through it, I mean, just listen to it. And if you feel you're going through that, maybe you should not be in that relationship.
Yeah, actually, it's really funny. It's actually good footnote. I remember during the time thinking, one, that I would never get over this him and how I felt about the whole situation, and two, I mean, that was after the relationship, but two, in the relationship, just like we said, we didn't think we could find someone else. So it's really funny, like when you hear somebody else who's been on the other side, it really is a great reminder that these aren't your forevers if you choose them not to be. Like if you choose to move out of that situation, and as shitty as you feel in the moment, you will get past that. Like I remember like 6 months, for 6 months after we broke up, thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to be in love again and I'm never going to get over him. Literally 6 months later, I barely remember his fucking name. Like, like sometimes it takes years later. I know people who take years to get over things, especially divorces with kids. Like that it takes a lot of healing time, but you do get over it. You do
Yeah.
move on. This is not forever. The pain is not forever. Nothing is forever, not good or negative things. So it's worth ripping that bandage off, moving on, moving past the person, feeling the pain. Actually, feeling the pain is also part of the growth
Yeah.
and finding someone else because you will find we're fucking overpopulated in this world. There is always somebody else and somebody better for you.
Yes, there's
Well, good footnote, Ben. Good
good footnote.
footnote.
Yes.
All right. Well, I hope you have a really good weekend.
Me too. I hope you enjoy your weekend with your friends and going out. And I just want to tell all the listeners to follow us on Instagram, the perfect underscore letter X. You can find us on Instagram and follow us also on Spotify and Apple Music.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, have a good
Yeah.
weekend, and I'll talk to you Monday.
Yes, talk to you on Monday. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.